because they're fucking terrified of pissing off a guy who's willing to sue anyone and everyone. He's just a fucking rich bully. The frivolous lawsuit against Redditors, like anonymous Redditors that tried to use the threat of litigation to get them to do like utterly unrelated separate things. Like, that was insane. To me, I feel like any YouTuber that does that to another person, like, if I think about it, if I were to do that, if I were to go after like fucking Diddy Gears, okay, for constantly fucking clipping me out of context, and then hit them with a frivolous copyright suit, and then turn around and get my lawyer to write this ChatGPT ass response and be like, and you have to tell me, you have to show me conclusive evidence and like unmask yourself and all these other people that are in DDG. How many fucking videos would be made on that? How many of the same fucking silent drama slop tubers would be nutting at the prospect of writing fucking video essays about how insane I am, how power tripping I am, socialism, by the way. Holy Moist Critical would probably fucking join in on that at that point. Yeah, they'd be calling me a pussy. Yeah, this was shocking to me, honestly. Like, it was shocking that his like actual not disbarred lawyer was willing to entertain such a ridiculous lawsuit, basically like legal extortion, okay? Using litigation to extort people, while also dude, I can't understand how no one has talked about this. Like, it actually does shock me a little bit, because like my expectation isn't that like the New York Times is going to write about this, you know what I mean? Because like Ethan doesn't get why fucking all of these like major mainstream press and all these other outlets like don't watch the context nuke and then develop their opinions about someone like myself off of that. That's stupid. That's not my expectation. But this in and of itself is drama slop tuber heaven here, okay? You got a massive, formerly beloved figure on an extended fucking crash out that is literally doing the most insane thing possible, and not a peep from the drama slop tuber world, because they are entirely fucking captured by Keemstar's orbit. They are so goddamn right wing. The only reason why they don't talk about this is because Ethan is currently fighting against a much larger demon for them, someone like myself, someone who they just don't agree with in terms of like their political worldview. Issue lawsuit is some of the most disappointing internet turnaround beyond everything else. I think what's also been additionally disappointing is the lack of interest from people who literally farmed Ethan for years for things that were valid and things that were invalid, right? For years, because they knew that that was a way that they could butter their bread, okay? Constantly making videos about Ethan Klein's downfall. All of those fucking drama slop tubers, the moment that Ethan changed targets and started attacking members of the left over their coverage of Israel's genocide, at that very moment, every single one of these charlatans who did not actually delete any of their fucking previous videos, by the way, they're still up. They have tens of millions of views on each and every single one of them. They turned around and they offered full and unconditional support. You had people that were calling Gila a horse face over and over again, that were now saying like, well, you know, Ethan is actually on the right side. He's on the right side of history. And none of them looked at the situation where Ethan was behaving in a way that was not only unstable, but also completely repulsive and indefensible, doing things that they normally would have loved if he was actually fucking directing this angst or animosity towards, like, I don't know, Keemstar or whatever. And none of them said a single goddamn thing, because all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, there's a much worse villain here that's involved. And it's like, I don't know, Frogan and people like myself or people like Noah Samson. So that. Hasan, they're just going to claim you're trying to do guilt by association. Why do you think this would work on them? Enemy of my enemy applies better than that, in my opinion. No, I'm not even talking about fucking Ethan. Guilt by association in that regard. Even though they 100% would not apply that same standard if I were to fucking drop my own personal moral convictions and find myself completely aligned with the Nicholas Fuenteses and the Candace Owenses and the Myron Gaineses of the fucking world because like they say that they're pro-Palestine, they say that they're anti-Israel. There's a reason why I don't do that. And the reason for why is because they're fucking anti-Semitic. They don't like Ethan Klein either, you know? So why don't I align with them, even though Ethan, who claims to be combating anti-Semitism, has no issue aligning with anti-Semites and offering them fucking platforms with regular frequency? Do you not understand? Ethan Klein, in our conversation, literally said he has respect for Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes because at least they're honest about their anti-Semitism, whereas his imagined anti-Semitism of me is actually far more nefarious, far more dangerous. That was his opinion. He said he respects Candace Owens. He said he respects Nicholas Fuentes. That's a real thing that he said. Yeah, could you imagine me joining forces with the Andrew Tates of the world and being like, you know what? Let's let bygones be bygones. Sure, you fucking Heil Hitler with regular frequency, but you also claim to be pro-Palestine. Attack Ethan Klein for me, please, Andrew Tate. Imagine if I did that. I would get a lot of fucking clout off of that. I would get a lot of play off of that. All of the people that normally despise me on that side of the fucking internet would turn around and go, you know what? Hasan is actually based. He's finally sticking it to a Jewish content creator. Okay? That's what they would say. I get a lot more fucking motion off of that shit. The reason why I don't do that is because that's insane. That's an insane thing to do because those people are anti-Semitic. Also, in the process of me doing so, I'm sure there would be a lot of Parasocial fans that would remain, but plenty of people would understandably and for very valid reasons leave this fucking community. And then all of those numbers would get replenished by an army of psychopathic Andrew Tate fans who are deeply fucking anti-Semitic. But the problem is, I don't want a community like that, no matter how large the numbers might look like, no matter how much fake solidarity I would get, fake support I would get from people like that. That's the difference between someone like me, a person with actual fucking principles and a moral conviction, and someone like Ethan, who will cast everything aside in an effort to make internet drama in the backdrop of a fucking genocide. But what's frustrating, okay, about all of this, everything that is unfolded, is also the lack of response from a number of different external content creators because they're fucking terrified of pissing off a guy who's willing to sue anyone and everyone. He's just a fucking rich bully. That's it. He is a rich bully. And he's willing to use that muscle, use that money to try and silence anyone who correctly calls him out for doing shit. He's making the internet a worse place, which is so crazy because his most pivotal, his signature achievement was to make the internet a better place by becoming a legal precedent setting, by creating a new legal precedent for fair use. And now all of that litigation, it doesn't even fucking matter. Now he's trying to reverse those decisions. Has he actually done it though? He's facing a massive defamation lawsuit loss. He's going to have to pay up very soon. I noticed he hasn't sent you a cease and desist. Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard that he's going to make another nuke on you that is most likely going to be very personal? If he were to go after your family, would you seek legal action? What kind of fucking question is this, man? Legal battles of this sort is literally getting in the fucking dirt, getting in the pigsty to wrestle with pigs. I don't want to surround myself with shit by doing so. Okay? I think it's bitch made. He's already coming across as repulsive to his own fan base, the ones that remain that just want the fucking goofs and gaffs, because he's using his community as a vehicle for stalking and mass harassment. And the remaining foot soldiers that are there just for the goofs and gaffs, which I guess like genocide wasn't enough for them to fucking pull the ripcord, are now annoyed at the unlimited amount of Hasan posts on his subreddit where they're like, can we just stop? Can we just stop with the fucking Hasan posts? It's just ridiculous. Like, it's too much. Can we just get back to the goofs and fucking gaffs, please? There are chatters who are permanently obsessed with drama who want Hasan to sue everyone under the sun. They want Hasan to sue Asmongold. They want Hasan to sue H3. They want Hasan to sue DHS. All they care about is drama because legal stuff is drama. I don't understand, like, what entertainment you can derive out of suing people like this. I don't understand why that's fun. I guess that's maybe how Ethan made fun. Americans are so fucking litigious, dude. It is also crazy. My feed's parasocial because they feel like they're winning through you. Yeah, except you should already feel like you're winning through me if that's your goal here, because I don't even need to do anything. He's just fucking making a fool of himself all on his own. You are not seeing the POV of a rich, smarmy moron collapsing due to legal loss narrative. It's a fantasy because he'd be fine in the end, but that's the imagination. Exactly. It would be a fucking long, convoluted, drawn out, and incredibly costly endeavor going band for band with a dude who has tens of millions of fucking dollars while I'm in the process of trying to fucking, conduct my regular affairs and keep doing news, whereas his content thrives when he's in fucking legal battles like this. This is what he does. This is his entire content. And at the end of the day, he would probably incur some legal penalties, depending on what angle I take in my approach for defamation, but it would not be worthwhile at all. I want to keep fucking covering shit that matters. And yes, I will entertain drama every now and then. I will entertain goofs and gaffes every now and then. I will have IRL streams in the process. But obviously, it's not fun for me. I don't enjoy this kind of back and forth. Yeah, I don't think people understand. Someone with that level of wealth can keep this going endlessly, okay? Think about it this way. He is so wealthy that he is able to withstand a fucking defamation lawsuit from a billionaire. A billionaire that he has actively pursued and apparently defamed is currently in the process of suing him, and it's taken fucking years. And even though he probably is going to lose that lawsuit, it still doesn't matter. Think about all the time that it took to get to this point. Think about all the time that it took to get to this point and what he did in that process. It was a 4-year process. He made content out of it every fucking step of the way. Now that he's on the verge of losing it, he shut the fuck up about it. He doesn't talk about it at all because it's over. The content part is over. Do you think it would be appealing if I were to change the trajectory of my political commentary career and become a fucking fat little piglet that only cares about fucking endless drama and endless litigation? I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to be that person. Especially because it would help him more than it would help me. It would hurt me in the process. It would hurt my goals. They fantasize about Richie Torres making you testify in front of Congress. They're trying to bait you into suing someone because they think if they can just expose you and your worldview to a large audience of normies, then the truth will be on their side. Their delusion. I know. That's what's so fucking nuts about it, is that that's why they constantly find themselves at odds with the reality when they're like, why doesn't nobody fucking understand? Like, this guy is a bad guy. This guy is a fucking bad guy. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is exactly how slop tubers operate. Why do you cover this conflict if you don't give a shit about it? Because it's attached to the most viral YouTube drama in the last decade. Something I care about significantly more given my content. It will bring your credibility. What? No, it will burn my credibility. The very fact that I even entertain it as long as I have is already fucking probably doing reputational damage. There are plenty of fucking serious people who look at that back and forth that took place that was, 5 hours long and go, why the fuck did Hasan entertain this? There were definitely people, including that guy in the West Bank, who was like, fuck both of these guys. Our people are dying and they're fucking having a back and forth drama conversation amidst a fucking ongoing blockade that is starving the Gazan population. And that person is correct. That person is correct. That person is not wrong. Are you kidding me? Imagine if that was my content every day. I'm sure plenty of fucking out of touch, annoying, bored, drama-obsessed Westerners would finally find themselves interested in this in ways that they never thought they would be, because that's all they care about. But this is precisely the reason why I don't also entertain the fucking toxic blood sport aspect of debate culture, because I don't think it's productive. I don't think it's productive in getting people to start the journey of learning, okay? To helping people understand the way I see the world, urging them to go out and organize, to try to put an end to all of these unjustifiable things that are happening. And I hope you guys understand that. It is, I mean, I don't think it's a profound waste of time. Like talking to Ethan that one time is not that bad, because ultimately it showed a lot of people what his actual care is in this situation. But the reality of the matter is, a lot of people are just like Ethan. They don't give a shit. They just care about the fucking drama aspect. There's no way to conceptualize entire city blocks burning. There's no way for a Westerner living in like fucking Connecticut to conceptualize an entire population being starved and ethnically cleansed. They lack empathy. They think those people maybe kind of deserved it. Even if they think what Israel is doing is horrifying, they're much closer to the average Israeli person than they are to the average Palestinian person in Gaza. So for them, this is a fun little way to keep yourself both entertained, preoccupied, and also makes you feel like you're learning about things. That's why a lot of people engage in debate. This is why it's a foolhardy endeavor. And I always criticize Jubilee for this, where it's like, we placed 20 black people against the Klansmen. And it's like, okay, those 20 black people have to sit there and defend their fucking humanity. The Klansman just has to sit there and be like, well, you ain't human. That's it. It's drama for the Klansmen. It's real life for the black people. It's a constant fucking recycling of all of the dangerous narratives that have plagued their entire existence, that have plagued their history, but also certainly still harms them in contemporary society. I try to offer a voice to people that don't have it in mainstream discourse. It's not just fucking drama for me. I care about these things. That's the reason why I do it. I don't do this because, fuck it, like this is going to get me endless amounts of clout, as some people cynically claim, because they're projecting. The only thing they care about is fucking clout. So they're like, Hasan must be doing this for clout. Or whenever people say, oh, Hasan is audience captured. I think post October 7, we proved that that wasn't the fucking case, considering a massive chunk of this community fucking fled in the aftermath. And also on top of that, you know, I incurred a lot of financial penalties in the process, none of which matters, of course. I'm not saying I'm a fucking victim here. I am not. I am far from a victim. I'm an immensely privileged person, and I'm still trying to use that privilege, regardless of what happens, to try and communicate the position of people that are being slaughtered. If I cared about being audience captured, or if I cared about the financial penalties that I will incur in the process, then I wouldn't have fucking kept talking about Israel from the position that I've been talking about. The way I see it is that I have everything in the world. I am one of the top 1 million most fortunate people on the fucking planet. And my tax dollars are going directly to the funding of murdering Palestinian children every single fucking day. This is constantly on the top of my mind. And I know there are other Americans who also feel this way. And I want everyone in America to understand this so that we can keep pressuring the government to put an end to this, okay? And if I don't do that, then I'm a horrible person. If I don't do this, if I don't talk about these things, if I simply angle it from the perspective of drama all the fucking time, then I'm an incredibly selfish individual. That's the way I see it. And I hope others can understand my position on this. That's it.